Welcome to the Mussar podcast for Parshas Netzavim. Join us as we explore the weekly Parsha, uncovering valuable insights and striving to become the best versions of ourselves through Mussar teachings. Today's episode is inspired by a powerful insight from Rabbi Yaakov Kier's Mussar Moment email, which was from 2 years ago, and I think it beautifully illuminates a fundamental concept of Jewish responsibility that touches every aspect of our communal life. There is a halacha that might seem puzzling at first glance. The Shulchan Aruch teaches us that one person can be motzi another Jew, meaning they can fulfill a mitzvah obligation on behalf of someone else, even if the person performing the mitzvah has already fulfilled that obligation for themselves. For example, if I've already made Kiddush for myself on Shabbos day, I can still make Kiddush again for my neighbor who hasn't yet fulfilled this mitzvah. The same applies to hearing the shofar on Rosh Hashana, lighting Hanukkah candles, and many other mitzvos. At first glance, this seems a little strange. If I've already fulfilled my obligation, why would Hashem allow or even value my performing what appears to be an extra mitzvah on someone else's behalf? Shouldn't each person be responsible for their own religious obligations? The source for this principle comes from this week's Parsha, Netzavim. In Perek Chavtes, Pasuk Chavches, the Torah states, "V'hanistaros laHashem Elokeinu v'haniglos lanu ulevanenu ad olam la'asos es kol divrei haTorah hazos." The hidden things belong to Hashem, our God, but the revealed things are for us and our children forever, to observe all the words of this Torah. From this pasuk, Chazal derive the principle that when it comes to revealed obligations, the mitzvos that we know about, we are collectively responsible. This responsibility extends beyond ourselves to include all of our fellow Jews. Rashi explains this concept with a principle that should transform how we think about Jewish community. Bnei Yisrael are responsible one for another. This arevos in Hebrew, meaning mutual responsibility, expresses itself not just in lofty philosophical ideas, but in practical, actionable mitzvos that we can perform on behalf of another Jew. Think about what this means. According to Rashi, your mitzvah obligation doesn't rest only on your shoulders. It rests on mine too. When you need to hear Kiddush, it becomes my responsibility as well. When you need to hear the shofar, that need creates an obligation for me to help you fulfill it. This is why I can be motzi you for these mitzvos, even after I've already fulfilled them myself, because in the deepest sense, your spiritual needs are my spiritual responsibilities. The Chofetz Chaim, whose 92nd yahrzeit we mark this Wednesday, the 24th of Elul, takes this concept even further. In his commentary on Parshas Netzavim, he provides a powerful analogy that should fundamentally change how we view our relationship with fellow Jews. He points out, when someone serves as a guarantor for a loan, they don't remain passive about their friend's financial situation. A guarantor takes on a personal interest in the affairs of the person for whom they are financially responsible. They check in, they offer assistance, they stay involved because they understand that their friend's success or failure directly affects them. The Chofetz Chaim teaches us that this should be our attitude toward assisting our fellow Jews spiritually as well. Since we are guarantors for each other's mitzvah observance, we should take a personal stake in everything our fellow Jews do. Wherever we can be a positive influence, we should take advantage of the opportunity. After all, that's part of our charge as members of the Jewish people. This concept extends far beyond specific ritual mitzvos like Kiddush or shofar. If we truly internalize the principle of arevos, it transforms our entire approach to the Jewish community. When a fellow Jew is struggling with their religious observance, it's not just their problem, it's ours too. When someone in our community lacks knowledge about a particular area of halacha, their ignorance creates an obligation for us to help educate them. When a Jewish family can't afford to celebrate Shabbos or the Yom Tovim properly, their need becomes our responsibility. This perspective shifts us from being passive observers of other people's spiritual lives to active participants in ensuring that every Jew Jew has the opportunity to fulfill their mitzvos and grow in their avodas Hashem. Let's spend a moment really thinking about the Chofetz Chaim's analogy of a guarantor. When you guarantee someone's loan, you don't wait for the bank to call you when payments are missed. You stay proactively involved. You check in regularly. You offer assistance before problems become critical. How would our communities change if we approached spiritual matters with this same proactive mindset? Instead of waiting for people to ask for help with their Jewish observance, we'd be reaching out to see how we can assist. Instead of assuming everyone is managing fine on their own, we'd be actively looking for opportunities to share knowledge, resources, and support. This doesn't mean being intrusive or judgmental. Just as a good financial guarantor offers support without judgment, we can offer spiritual assistance with humility and respect, recognizing that we too have areas where we need support from others. How can we put this teaching into practice? Here are two concrete ways to embrace our role as guarantors for our fellow Jews. Number one is educational responsibility. If you have knowledge in areas of halacha, Torah, or Jewish practice, look for appropriate opportunities to share it. This might mean offering to study with someone, answering questions when asked, or simply modeling good Jewish practice that others can learn from. The 7th Lubavitcher Rebbe Zeichel Levracha was wont to say, if you know the letter Aleph, then teach the letter Aleph. If you know the letter Beis, then teach the letter Beis, reminding us that we don't need to be great scholars to share what we know with others. The second is resource sharing. If you have the means to help others fulfill mitzvos, whether through lending items needed for Yomim Tovim, providing meals for Shabbos, or contributing to someone's ability to purchase religious articles, these become opportunities to fulfill your role as a guarantor. As we mark the Chofetz Chaim's yahrzeit this Wednesday, it's worth reflecting on how he embodied this principle throughout his life. He didn't just write about Arevus in theory, he lived it. His concern for Klal Yisrael expressed itself in his halachic writings, his ethical teachings, and his practical efforts to strengthen Jewish observance and unity. The Chofetz Chaim understood that being responsible for one another isn't a burden, it is a privilege. It means we are part of something larger than ourselves, connected to every other Jewish soul in a web of mutual obligation and support. The principle of Arevus reveals something beautiful about the Jewish people. We are not just a collection of individuals who happen to share the same religion. We are an interconnected community where each person's spiritual welfare affects everyone else. This interconnection means that when we help another Jew grow spiritually, we are not just doing them a favor. We are fulfilling our own spiritual obligation. When we enable someone else to perform a mitzvah, we become partners in that mitzvah. When we support another person's Torah learning, we earn a share in their learning. Understanding this changes everything. Suddenly, every interaction with a fellow Jew becomes an opportunity for spiritual growth, not just for them, but for us as well. This message becomes particularly relevant as we approach Rosh Hashana, which is coming up next week. During the period of judgment, we want to be able to point to our efforts, not just in our personal mitzvah observance, but in how we help others grow and succeed spiritually. Have we taken our role as guarantors seriously? Have we looked for opportunities to assist fellow Jews in their avodas Hashem? Have we approached our community responsibilities with the same diligence we would bring to a financial guarantee? This week, let's challenge ourselves to find one concrete way to fulfill our role as guarantors for fellow Jews. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who might be struggling spiritually. Perhaps it's offering to share our knowledge in an area where we have expertise. It could be providing practical assistance that will make someone's mitzvah observance easier for them. The key is to approach this not as charity or kindness, though it certainly is both, but as fulfilling our fundamental obligation as members of the Jewish people. We are guarantors for each other, and guarantors take active responsibility for those they've guaranteed. The beautiful teaching about Arevus from Parshas Netzavim reminds us Jewish community isn't just about shared beliefs or traditions. It's about shared responsibility. Every Jew's spiritual success or struggle affects all of us, and every one of us has the power and obligation to help others succeed. As we honor the memory of the Chofetz Chaim this week, let's commit to following his example of taking genuine responsibility for our fellow Jews. Let's move move beyond the passive community membership to active spiritual partnership with every Jewish soul we encounter. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Mussar Torah podcast. Until next time, may we all merit to fulfill our obligations as guarantors for one another, and may our mutual support help every Jew reach their fullest spiritual potential. As we approach Rosh Hashana, may you and your families be blessed with a ksiva v'chasima tova. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. May this new year bring health, happiness, spiritual growth, and the fulfillment of all your heart's desires for good. Shana Tova Umasuka. Have a good, sweet year.